wrongly convicted for 18 years of a crime he didn't commit I think it's in Wisconsin in America. And ironically, what happens is after about a year after being out of prison, he's then arrested and convicted of a crime which it appears again he didn't commit. And the show follows very closely the trial and the trial of his nephew who was involved and also convicted. This has caused a lot of furore. A lot of people have been tweeting about this over Christmas. It's now produced an online petition where people are still trying to get the release of Steve Avery, who's still incarcerated in a prison in America. A lot of links to Serial, which was the podcast which we've kind of mentioned before, in that it took a real life case and dealt with it week by week, in this episodical way. There's 12 episodes and it's absolutely engrossing. It's one of those things where real life, if you wrote this as a drama, you probably wouldn't get as accurate as the real life version is. It's absolutely amazing, the twists, the turns, and as I say, the involvement. And if you had any faith in the American justice system, this will just rip it apart. Although you do have to remember, one of the things that I've read and looked into since I saw it is you have to remember that the film documentary makers were on his side. So there's times when the evidence that they've shown you is a little bit one-sided in his favour.
Somebody wanted to know over Christmas, and you can do this at your leisure when Matt and I are talking about something later. What's the oldest thing in sort of time on your hard drive? Because you say you've got almost everything you've ever seen on there, plus a load of things you've yet to catch up on.
Hold on.
Somebody wants to know.
I've got the last series of DCI Banks that was recorded in April 2015 that I haven't seen.
No, you've not seen any of that?
No, I've saved it so that I'll watch it.
Anything older than April 2015?
Yeah, we're thinking anything.
But I've only had this since about this time last year, so I've got 2 episodes of Jonathan Strange to watch. Oh, the whole series of Witness. I never did get onto that, so I saved
it.
Witnesses. Sorry. And then 8 episodes of Dark Matter, which was a sci-fi thing that I watched a bit of last year.
So how much space do you have?
35% taken, so I've still got 65% left. There you are, that's math for you.
Oh, early maths on the podcast. Impressive. Okay, so Gary Goes West will return next week, but now my second favourite bit of the podcast, where we hand over to Matt for the reviews, and wait. He says,
"I'm not a performing monkey."
Oh, come! What says he who made me?
That's not what you say.
You made me.
Hello.
Yeah, no, not the same. Not the same.
Dance, monkey.
Right. Review time.
Now you may play with your nuts.
Go on. I've completely lost what we were reviewing now. Luther. Let's do Luther while I try and find my document.
This was a 2-parter that was said by Neil Cross in the press and Idris Elba at the Luther screening to be the very last one of Luther, at least on the telly. They're still keen to do a film adaptation if they get the opportunity. And it was, for lack of a better word, terrible.
It was average. It wasn't terrible. It was average.
Underwhelming would be my adjective.
Will you allow me pointless?
No.
You want to go and watch it now? It's just finished.
No, I know it's not. No, it was pointless because we didn't. It
didn't really lead anywhere. Nothing really got resolved. I understand. I understand where you're going. It was basically a comeback for comeback's sake, and it felt to me like he was saying, we need another, almost like we need a movie. What it was, and you alluded to this, was the fact that Idris Elba had said, I want to come back and do another one because I didn't like the way the last one ended.
Yeah.
Well, this one ended
Well, in that
terribly.
case, he's going to be coming back forevermore.
Let's hope he doesn't watch this one.
But I just think the first episode was fine. It was very Luther-y, and you could see.
Yeah.
But the second episode, it was like they went, we don't know, we haven't got enough
The
story
comedy Cockney villain who he sent like everyone in London to kill Luther, and that lasted one scene. And then the stuff with the case in his past, and the woman who sort of supposedly killed Alice, but she's probably still alive.
The three of us who watched this were genuinely into it in the first one and really confused by the...
I think
The second one did really feel
I think
the second one did really feel like
I think there was too
they
much.
had lost their way.
There was too much for a two-parter. I think if they'd have scrapped all the stuff with the gangster sending everyone to kill Luther, if they'd scrapped that, it would still be the same. I don't think it would lose anything, and I think you would get more time to tell that other story about the past, about why someone might have harmed Alice. But I think that they are going to bring it back, maybe for the big screen, and Ruth Wilson will come back. And I think part of the reason she hasn't come back, obviously, is because of the affair, and maybe because she now will only do sort of stuff maybe on American TV or on the big screen.
I was so disappointed because if you're saying this is the last one and then you don't give us a definitive end, what's the point?
I suppose the other point is that it was brought in as like a big sort of thing. It was heavily promoted, and
it's like Luther's like a name like another program will come to, where they can just say we're bringing Luther back, and it's already got the audience there, and they will watch it.
When you say it was heavily promoted, it was on in December. I didn't see.
Yeah, no, it wasn't on in September, Gary. So
no, it was on a bus. That's a good point. Yeah.
Detectorists was back for a Christmas special. Me and Luke watched it.
Speaking of disappointing...
Yeah, disappointing, sort of... In its favour, I did like the sort of contained storyline about Andy's Curse of the Gold, that he'd found this item.
It's actually Lance.
Lance, I know. I as I said it, I was like, hang on, no, it's Lance. He found this thing, and since then he's had all this bad luck and stuff like that. But I think the fact that they didn't bring... Rachel Sterling didn't come back for it. Amy and Fionn Edwards didn't come back for it. Mackenzie Crook basically, I've come back from Africa, just on the off chance.
To little fanfare, nobody seemed to notice he was back.
It wasn't set at Christmas. It just felt a bit unnecessary, just a bit there, didn't it?
It felt thrown together. Yeah. It felt...
it's like
completely
BBC Four asked for a 7th episode after they'd put together another great series.
And not all the cast were available, presumably.
Yeah. It just felt all a bit just random and a bit blah. And...
I'm so sick of being disappointed with things.
Do we think Detectorists will be back? Do we think, because they haven't announced a 3rd series?
I'm giving up guessing, because things always come back when I say...
Hold on, I'll email Mackenzie Crook and ask him.
I think it should come back if there's story, but they were hinting at the fact that Mackenzie Crook and Rachel Sterling's characters will be staying in Africa almost indefinitely, so they have gotten out if they just don't want to do any more series. Do you think they could do a series without Mackenzie Crook and Rachel Sterling being in it?
I missed them in this, so I'd have said no before. But
that was almost what it felt like in a way. It almost felt like this is us trying to see if we could do it, because they had...
and by
Toby Jones being sort of front and centre.
And by your kind of feelings...
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think it did, because some of the charm of it is those sort of conversations between Lance and Andy, Mackenzie Crook and Toby Jones, which, if he wasn't in it, it would lose. Moving to something I know I enjoyed, Doctor Who, Gary, on Christmas Day. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. It was very much a standalone episode. I mean, in the sense, this didn't really seem to fit into the rest of the series. A lot of people complained it was kind of a little bit too emotional. But it is a Christmas special, and they are kind of now seeing...
Yeah, I thought last year's Christmas special was really dark, and they had all that stuff about death, and they were all being... Was it like a squid or something was changing their moods, and they all thought they were somewhere they weren't. I'll tell you what I thought. I thought this was one of the funniest episodes of Doctor Who I've ever seen. I thought all the stuff with Matt Lucas, all the stuff with Greg Davis was really good.
Who wrote this one?
Moffat and Moffat, I think.
Moffat, there you go. Apparently, but
shame he didn't do as well with the show we'll talk about.
No, but I thought it was very funny. I thought it fit Christmas Day perfectly because it was a bit of fun. I loved the chemistry between Peter Capaldi and Alex Kingston. I thought it was probably the best use of Alex Kingston, and it's a shame that this will probably be the last time she'll be on
What about
screen.
Hope Springs that she did a few years ago?
I mean, just in Doctor Who terms.
Oh, right, no, that was pretty awful.
The rest of it over, we'll look at in later days.
Okay.
I hadn't really been watching this series of Doctor Who, but obviously it's one of those things alongside EastEnders, which I always watch on Christmas Day, and I thought it was good. I think it did have a bit of poignancy, I think. Was that what you were hinting at the end with?
Yeah, there was quite a lot of emotional stuff at the end, but I think a lot of Doctor Who fans who had watched this series said that it was chalk and cheese compared to the series. At Christmas, it's normally in between either a doctor or in between an assistant, and you get to have fun dynamics. And yeah, there were good humorous moments, and the final reveal that the Doctor was the Doctor and that River Song hadn't realised.
It was almost like an old sort of screwball.
Yes, somebody did say it was reminiscent of an old 50s American film, with.
And it was Stephen Moffat that wrote it, and actually Douglas McKinnon who directed it as well.
I would like to meet the Queen proper. I know, basically. And I wonder if she's nice. I'd ask for some money. Would you? I wouldn't ask for money off the Queen. Why? Because that's what mums and dads are for.
Goggle Frogs was also on Christmas Day. This was the junior version of Gogglebox, where we saw groups of, I think they were around sort of 6 to 13-year-olds, were they? 6 to 12-year-olds, something around that.
There was certainly nobody older.
No teenagers.
No.
Harmed in the making of this programme. And they were watching a lot of stuff that had been on earlier in the year. There was the Bake Off final that they were watching. There were some nature documentaries, a couple of films. At first, I was sort of, I'm not sure how to take this, but after a while, I suppose like the normal Gogglebox, you get to know the kids, you get to know their relationships, and some of it was quite sweet, some of it was quite funny. And I'm interested to see what they might do with a series of this. I don't know, Luke, what did you make of it?
But the kids were so sweet, and what I was surprised by was how into each programme they got, to the same degree that the adults got into it as well.
I think the nature programme was the one for me, where the older siblings were sort of shielding the younger siblings.
It was so sweet. It was just a nice, gentle watch.
But do you think the series will work? I'm just thinking in terms of the programmes that they'll be watching, because obviously...
Yeah, I don't know. It just depends what's on, and it'll... I did really enjoy this far more than I thought it would, and it made me laugh a lot. I just thought it was very genuine and sweet, and of course they are less camera aware than the adults, which is what I liked, because you knew nothing was there for effect or nothing was said to be extra funny. It was just genuine reaction, and it was really sweet.
Well, I did react like that when Tamal didn't win the Bake Off.
I'm really sad. I'm gonna cry. Why? Because she... You mean happy crying? No, sad crying. Why? Because she won. I didn't want her to win. Oh. But I did like the cake she made.
Then there were none, and then there was none. I'm not sure.
No, and then there were none.
Oh yeah,
was that you, Gary?
Yeah, my bad English.
I thought you were just going to say my bad then, and I would have just hung up on you right then and there.
Will I take this one and say this is an adaptation by Agatha Christie? Of
Agatha Christie.
Of Agatha Christie.
Yeah.
It's set on a Scottish island, and it's
no, it's not.
It is, isn't it? Scottish island?
No, it's not Devon.
Oh, is it? I do apologise. For some reason, I had Scotland on the brain. A number of different people are requested to come, and they all have a past. They all seem to have killed somebody in their past, and one by one they slowly get bumped off. It's a fantastic whodunit. The cast was a real who's who. Charles Dance was fantastic in this. Sam Neill. You can talk me through some of the other names, because I'm probably going to...
But they were who's who, Gary.
Yeah, I know. But
who's that?
Aidan.
Except you
Miranda
don't know
Richardson.
who they are. Aidan Turner.
Old Ark.
I don't like Miranda Richardson.
No, I didn't.
I was like, oh, please let her be one of the first to be killed.
She did a very good job of portraying the character.
I loved this. It was one of those things that you watch over Christmas, you don't have any expectations for, but you watch because you want to watch something on BBC.
Do you think
Christmas.
it was lost in the Christmas schedules, or do you think it was...
I think it stand out, but I think as Luke probably is saying, is there wasn't a great deal else on unless you were a soap fan or a football fan or something like that. So this did feel special to me.
And the fact it was on over 3 nights as well helped, I suppose.
I just really enjoyed it, and there were moments that were genuinely tense.